Sacramento.
Woot woot.
We're talking gold rush time, old town stuff, places to go eat, the capital of California. There's a lot happening, and we're starting this little tour off doing some stuff. So welcome to Switch It Up. Are you excited? We have no idea what to expect. This is kind of like a drive-through stop for us.
Yeah, and it's blazing hot here.
It is hot. California, I always thought it was 72 all the time. It's been like 95 and 100.
It's hot.
Roll the intro, jump into it, and see where we're going first.
A man and a woman left their home to switch things up and go on the road. They didn't know where they would go, but it's gotta be better than staying home. They switched it up. They switched it up. A new place, a new home for a while. Let me feel alive. Nothing to hold me back. Take my time, just enjoy the ride. A new man passing by.
They serve lemon drop martinis.
Get me up, somewhere new, somewhere I can find myself.
Look at that French toast. That's what they're famous for, right?
Okay, we're at the Tower, infamous Tower restaurant.
Tower Cafe.
And they say if you come to Sacramento, this is an experience you need to at least do once. It's very eclectic, it's from stuff around the world, and then the food is supposed to be outrageous. So Sheila is looking at her French toast going,
That's what they said. That's what the review said, is try the French toast. But your sandwich is actually made with the French toast bread, so that should be interesting.
I got the Madame Cuisto.
Cause I find my way. Cause I find my way, my way, my way.
All right, that was fabulous. It's a great little meal, different ambiance for sure. Now we're off to kind of look around the city to see what we can find on a weekend.
In June.
In June. It should be an interesting time, to say the least. But this, you can actually watch movies here at the Tower Theater, and it's got that old feel, yeah.
I find my way. In bad times, I know I'll be okay. Cause I find my way.
All right, we've made it to downtown Sacramento, old downtown Sacramento, which there's a number of things to see down here, but because of the old California gold rush, this little area has become really well known, and a lot of people here will come to visit. If you have a dually and you're a little tall, you don't have to park in the parking garages because they're short, but you can park back here in the RV parking. So there's plenty of parking. So we're gonna walk around here, think back to the day of the old gold rush town. Like, we traveled on 49 highway all the way up here, and it's gonna be kind of neat to see like what's here.
Look, so the old Sacramento's here, like the old county jail, courthouse, post office, all that old, and then they just built the state capitol right there.
Yeah, so the state capitol is just down the road. But there's a big event happening right now that we're not gonna pay to go into because
they're that way, though.
it's down on the other side, and it's like $25 to go in, and it's gonna be a little crazy over there, so we're not gonna walk over there today.
There's a whole underground. I guess that this area used flooded a lot back in the 1800s. So then they raised the city, and so there's an underground.
Huh. All right, so this one goes out to all my railroad peeps out there. Who doesn't like a good train? I didn't know that they had this big, huge commemorative train thing. So this is gonna be fun. Trains actually changed pretty much all of America.
Well, even as we tour like these old houses to find out they had to, you know, when they were like the Biltmore, they had to lay the train track in order to get the stuff. Like it changed how we get things.
It wasn't just transportation trains. It was like at the Biltmore they used it for bricks and materials.
We're going to take the story of the building of the first transcontinental railroad anywhere. But we're going to go all the way. On this one, 2,000 miles from Chicago to here, and it's going to change America. And one of the things that's going to change is because that gentleman right there, Mr. Judah, is the first guy that really did find a route from here over the mountain into the desert. And nobody else could do that. And the day it's finished, we're going to be sending people across America in 6 days. And that's considered the greatest ever shift in the history of transportation speed. Building the railroad is just part of the story. The other part is the first time, and probably the only time, that our nation really had it together. Government and private industry came together to the benefit of both. And the government's going to get rich. You say that's crazy, but it happened. And people got rich, and we became a big, diverse, the country we are today. And it's all because of the Pacific Railroad Act of 1862, which said that this company right here in Sacramento that started the whole thing, the Central Pacific Railroad under the Big Four, Mr. Stanford, Governor Stanford, and Crocker and Huntington and Hopkins, which we'll talk a bit more about, they're going to get very, very rich. Because the law says that any company that builds a railroad in the West between 1862 and 1900 will be given 10 square miles of land for every mile of track they build. Thousands of acres, which then they can themselves sell off. And of course these guys being they were whatever they were, they got very, very rich, because they kept the best land for themselves and sold it off, as in Huntington Beach for Mr. Huntington, as in Silicon Valley for Mr. Stanford, and I could go on and on. We got to speed things up here somewhat. And the government's going to get rich because they're selling land off too. They get to make half the land sales, and they did it in a kind of a checkerboard pattern. So they went 20 miles wide coming across the country by the railroad, 10 miles this side, 10 miles this side, and then every 10 miles they switched, so that it was kind of fair, I suppose. Point being, millions and hundreds of millions of acres of land are going to get sold, and the government's going to make so much money on their half of the land sales that we didn't cut income taxes like people like. We went down to zero for 43 years. Woo! I mean, this is a pretty good deal, huh? The land was going for $3, $4, $5, $6 an acre. Average pay back then $1 a day. So doable, but if they couldn't afford that, they could get free land. If they could go further away than the 10 miles from the tracks and homestead, that was part of this law, homestead 5 acres for 5 years, it's theirs. They didn't have to live on it, they just had to build a barn or cut the trees or prove that they were doing something to improve the property. The Transcontinental Railroad, the oldest engine in the West, came around in pieces in a ship by ship from Philadelphia in 1862, 1863. Put it back together here in Sacramento, and we start this Transcontinental Railroad in 1860. Chinese story. Now, as it turns out, 98% of the people that are going to build a railroad are Chinese. Here's one of the longest records. Almost about 99% of the people that did it were Chinese. 10 miles of track in one day. Standard time, you can't make schedules and ride a train anymore. You know what it was like back in 1865? New York Central Station in New York City? You had 30 clocks on the wall. Every train company that brought a train through New York Central had its own time. And they were a variance of about 40 minutes. How did people tell time back then? They only used the sun at noontime and made guesses after that. That's it. There was absolutely no written schedules for trains anywhere on Earth. You always had 2 words like morning, early morning, around noon, or late afternoon. That's when the train would be leaving. Not going to work. So after much ado, the train companies got together and said, well, let's use 15 degrees of longitude going around the Earth, and that cemented the idea of the 24-hour day, because 15 into 360 gives you 24. I think has to do with the fact that the railroad industry was the first industry to really become unionized, and all of these engines are hand-built. Every one was different. They are not built by any blueprints. So whoever gets on there to be the engineer, it's like a new wife, a new dog, or whatever. You've got to learn it. And once you're learning it, the company's going to do everything in its power to make you happy so you'll stay with it. Brag about your engine. One way to do it, let them get it more detailed. So I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. Stanford said, I want a gold spike to end this railroad, and he set the precedent. I don't know how many transcontinental railroads there are. He knew a guy named Hughes, which you're standing in front of right here, Mr. Hughes. And Mr. Hughes wanted to become part of the A-listers. I mean, Stanford, Crocker, Huntington, Hopkins, the big guy. Gold back then, 1869, you'd love to have some of it, $20 an ounce. Today's price, somewhere between $1,850 and $1,900 an ounce. He makes the gold spike that Stanford wants. It's got all the inscriptions on it with Stanford's name, a bunch of other names and sayings. And that gold spike is down at Stanford University in the library.
Back in the day, the Pony Express would they'd pull up, they'd get the mail, they'd run from the post office car out. This is nuts.
But then he said each little town had to have a railroad station
and it's a post office as well.
So then what, did this bag just be dropped off at the post office and then you had to just come to town?
Yeah, I don't know. There's so much information here. It really explains a lot of our history. I just didn't even know. Okay, we're getting ready to drop. If you're in Sacramento, do not miss this tour. It's
a museum, and there's a little tour inside of it. You should check it out.
Mind-blowing. As far as like trains go, we're going to be doing a train coming up in our huddle in Georgia, which is going to be neat, that people talked about.
Yeah.
But taking this, I was watching different things, and I said, make sure you come to the train museum. I'm like, okay, train museum. No clue that the Transcontinental Railroad started right outside that window. The first mile is out there. So let's talk about some of the little facts, the nuggets, Sheila, that you got out of this.
My mind is a little overwhelmed right now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because we were talking about the gold rush.
Much.
So I'm going to drop some stuff that blew me away. Number one, they wanted to build this railroad for 20 years, but nobody could figure out how to get through the mountains until one man figured it out. So he gets to this side, but he's got to he's in California, but now he's got to get back to Washington so he can start telling them the plan. The only way to get back to Washington is to sail around South America, and it takes 6 months. Remember that?
I'd forget what I was going to tell him once I got there.
So he's got 6 months. He's now figured it out. He's got 6 months to sail around, get back to Washington, pitch the idea. It blows me away. So then it takes 6 years to build the Transcontinental Railroad. And it was built on basically using all the Chinese that ended up coming over to build it.
To work, yes.
It wasn't
because the Chinese knew how to work with granite because they built the Great Wall of China.
Yes. And I didn't know that. Going back we went through a town on the way here, and it was an old ghost town that dealt with when we were over towards Yosemite and we were coming this way.
Yeah.
We did a stop. And we were like, why is there a Chinese cemetery?
Chinese, yep. Now it makes sense.
Now it makes sense, right? It's like, oh, we had no clue on how that. Now, here's the big difference. The big difference is that after the railroad was built, it took 6 months to sail around after he got to California, but now that the Transcontinental was built.
We'll have to watch Bob's thing. I think it was 6 days.
Oh, it was 6 days.
Yeah, because he said
6 days. That's even like, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think it was 6 days. One of the things that blew my mind away was like the Chinese were going through that mountain, or they built a shed, like a snow shed.
The snow sheds.
And they would work all day. And they would move 4 inches of granite, and they did that for 15 months
to make one of the tunnels, the main tunnel.
One of the tunnels. But anyway, we've learned a lot. We have a new appreciation for the railroad and how it changed America.
And the reason the Chinese, we had some of the stuff still to build. The reason the Chinese were no longer here is that the railroad union, didn't want them taking any more jobs, and so they ended up correlating together at Washington and ended up sending all the Chinese railroad workers out of the United States, and they went across the world and continued making railroads for other countries. It's mind-boggling. This is a fabulous museum on many, many levels.
Yeah, I'm still processing all the details.
Yeah, it's fabulous. I'm just telling you, by far one of my best favorite tours we've done.
I think they give a tour actually on a train. I want to check that out.
Tour.
Outside.
On the train?
I think so. Let's go see.
You ever wonder, like when you went into the small towns, how the train station and they all look the same? We learned that they were the first prefab buildings. Like you could buy them out of the Sears and Roebuck the catalog, and then they'd be delivered on the train. So that's how the post offices and everything looked the same in the old towns.
The depots, the train depots.
Yeah, because
you just ordered it out of the catalog and it just came to you.
So that's why a lot of the towns, I didn't realize this, but that's the reason, because every time the train stopped, they had to have those things. So they made it your first prefabs. Congratulations.
This is a great little downtown. Like this is cool,
fabulous.
Like you just feel like you've just stepped back in time, minus the cars.
Yeah, and the shootouts.
Yeah, right. There's one on my house.
I used to stay up all night trying to find my place, chasing neon lights and looking for some kind of trace to lead me out of darkness. Give me a little faith, something to make me stronger, someone who could light the way. Then you came to me and you gave me reason.
Conductor's got to come by and punch it, you know, the old-fashioned way.
Every time we touch, I feel at home. There's no way I'd ever let you go. When you put your hands in mine, I know I'm gonna be alright. I don't know what you do to me, but I feel like I am way up in the sky. When you put your hands in mine, I know I'm gonna be alright.
I wouldn't consider myself a big train connoisseur, but I really enjoyed that actually.
When was the last time you rode on a train car from 1924?
I don't know. Last time we rode on a train was a high-speed one like in Italy going 180 miles an hour.
Well, don't forget the train that took us to Hogwarts.
Oh,
Does that not
that
count?
doesn't count? The train that takes the Hogwarts and Disney? Or no? Where was that?
That was Walt Disney, or
Was
Universal.
it Universal? I don't know. Turned into a train day.
Yeah, because we're in Sacramento, and I guess that's history of Sacramento.
Yeah, I didn't know
deal.
that. I had no clue this is where the Transcontinental ended.
Trains and gold and...
History. Good old history. It's like we've covered so much history on this excursion. Like, think about it. East Coast, how the founding fathers, and they did everything. Boston.
Yeah.
I mean, if you followed our channel for a while, we've seen a lot in the last year and a half.
Yeah, we're learning a lot.
But yeah, look at me. I'm all educated now.
We're actually learning things that I don't think they taught us too much in high school.
No, we didn't.
Middle school.
When we touch is when I really come alive. I couldn't be without you now. I just can't see how.
Do you like jelly beans?
Of course, it's one of my favorite snacks.
It's one of your favorite snacks? How am I just now learning this? Really?
Yep.
Let me guess, the black licorice ones.
No, I hate black licorice.
We could get the boys the vomit ones.
Ugh.
Don't they have one that tastes like soap?
Okay, we heard you loud and clear. You cannot leave this area that we're at without going to the Jelly Belly factory.
That's what the crew said, so here we are.
We're at the, before we hit the road today, we're doing a Jelly Belly. I almost feel like I have a Jelly Belly. Oh, and there's enough room here for RV parking, just so you know. Plenty of room.
Love that. Anna and Elsa.
I think it's hilarious because I can't believe there would be like a whole section of saying, hey, I know you're an artist, but could you just like start becoming a jelly bean artist and coming up with, it looks really good
It
though.
does look really good.
Over there you got Superman, Bamboozle, Bean Boozled. Bean Boozled, oh yeah, play on words.
And Wonder Woman. All right, I'm gonna go get us some tickets. There's only $7, so we might as well do the tour.
Yeah, let's do the tour.
Okay.
Wow.
Hat at all times on the tour. That's what she said. But if you have your own hat, if you had a switch it up hat, you don't have to. But you have to wear this. It's like a hairnet.
Are you serious?
That's what she said.
This is like, seriously?
Yeah. Well, you see all the people wearing hats, you think they're just doing it for fun?
Well, they might be doing it for fun.
Let me help you. Pull out to your head size. We better expand this, baby.
Oh, you're hilarious. Ha 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 ha. Although I do have a lot of hair.
There. You look great.
I could have made it back in the 50s, like as a car hop or something. Okay, where are we heading?
Up the stairs.
Up the steps. Oh my gosh. Sheila.
What?
Oh, people are gonna think I beat you. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're gonna explain this right now because you're gonna see this. I did not do any of this. Sheila went and had a massage this morning because she's been sitting in front of the computer and migraines. So they decided to do cupping, and I just noticed before we head up these steps, look at this.
Is it bad?
Yes, it's like
That's only been within a few minutes.
that's like an octopus like got a hold of you, but that is not for me. Goodness sakes, that looks horrible. People are gonna like look at it. Oh my gosh. It's those little things.
Well,
Okay,
I feel better.
I bet you do. All right, on with the show.
Oh, we gotta get Harry Potter ones for the boys. We're sending candy to the grandkids.
Oh boy,
There's that man in a bathtub.
That's
full
me.
of jelly.
that's definitely me.
Today we make over 100 flavors of jelly beans,
But we also make a lot of different types of candy.
like gummy bears, malt balls, and candy corn.
The Jelly Belly brand is sold in more than 80 countries around the world. We have over 700 employees, whom we also consider family.
Here
I had no idea. It takes like, how long does it take to make a jelly bean? 7 days?
Yeah, I think that's what they said.
That's crazy.
I didn't know there was 100 flavors.
Yeah, this is like crazy. Who knew that little bean could take this much energy and effort? And the computers, like there's computers over there doing stuff.
There's a robot arm doing something back there.
It's impressive.
You gotta understand that we get one chance,
This is the polishing and adding the final coating on the outside.
It smells so good.
Ooh, it does smell good. I wish this was smell-o-vision. I think it'd be fun to be the chemist, like mixing all the colors and flavors together.
We'll never need a plan. We'll be alright, just you and I. Singing from the top of a line. gotta understand that we get one chance, one chance. You will never regret.
All right, we came. We were here. We conquered. So that wraps up our wonderful little experience down here by Sacramento area and Fairfield.
Yep, we learned some history, saw some gold rush information,
Got
some
some
trains,
candy.
got a game for one of our huddles.
Oh yeah, buckle up. It's gonna get intense at the
So
huddle.
that was fun. I enjoyed the area.
So we're off to our next place, which is about 2 hours away, I guess.
Yep.
We're gonna pack up. I even got Shrek washed. Shrek got a bath.
Shrek got a bath.
It's a good time. So highly recommend coming to this little bitty area and going to see things. Yeah, it's a little drive if you stay down by Fairfield and go up to Sacramento and stuff, but everything's within an hour, and you're almost 2 hours from just about everything, from Napa to San Francisco to everything's right in this area. So it's been good.
And this was a tour that was well worth it.
$7?
$7 is,
Well
and the
worth it.
train tour for 12. Yeah, we've had some great tours.
Did you know they made enough jelly beans in a day that weighs as much as 16 elephants? It's a lot of jelly beans. Just saying, I'm gonna leave you with that little tidbit.
Don't forget to
Like, comment, subscribe.
do all the things.
All right, we're off to our next adventure. I'm gonna leave you with this Shrek picture, and then we're out. Look at this, this is beautiful. Look at it. Just look at it. Look at it.
He's pretty when
He
he's
is.
clean.
He is pretty.
When he's clean.
And we're